about building the bridges where there were once walls.
Oh,
So
wow.
give us a little more of that, nugget that you wrote down.
Well, what's interesting is this leads into why I decided to be a contributing author in Act Like a Nurse, Think Like a Boss. My chapter is Triumph Over Trauma, Turning Pain into Power. And so what that really talks about is last year I had a major transition in my career, something that I wasn't expecting, and it just caught me off guard. And what I empower people to do, or I had to do myself, was to really take a look in the mirror. And that sounds cliche, of course, but like, I couldn't figure out. I had all of the successes from a outcomes perspective. I had all of the degrees, you name it, I've got it. I've got 2 masters, I've got a bachelor's, I've got an associate, I've got it. Now, of course, I've got that terminal degree, but there is something, and I can speak in code if we want to, but I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not going to be a product of any systemic issues that exist for us. So what I had to do, because I was really struggling with this after I transitioned out of my 24-year career at that time, I was really depressed. I was really like trying to figure things out. And it really caused me to really, success was my armor. However, silence was my shield.
Yes.
And
us high achieving women experience. And I'm not saying that every woman doesn't go through it, but it is something that is grossly relatable to us very high achieving women, where we put success, we put the accolades almost into the makeup. Right, we put on the makeup and then we show up and we present to the world. But then there is that void. There is that inner void.
You said something that I can 100% relate to. The reason I wrote my autobiography, Fragments of Silence, was because success was my armor. However, silence was my shield.
Yes.
And so profound that they were both killing me. Be a happier person. When I talk about mental illness, I truly suffered from suicidal ideation, not just at this time, at that time when I transitioned, but throughout the years, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I worked. The more I worked, I stayed busy, and so I didn't have to address the trauma or the pain that was there.
Once you tell your truth and you have written it in the book, aren't you afraid that people are going to now weaponize, that you are weaponizing the people, that they now have your testimony and they can use it as a weapon against you?
But this was me healing. This was me choosing me before everybody else, because all these years, everybody else has come first. But this is me choosing me. Yeah. And I just have to be ready for the backlash because it will come. But guess what? Those phone calls, or text messages or words of encouragement, that's what I'm going to lean on.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to lean on.
Why would a nurse want to now have this title as doctor?
Oh my gosh. Well, oh, wow. There's a long story with that one as far as I'm concerned, but I have my terminal degree. I've got the highest degree you can have in nursing. And what's really a challenge is I talked to my son the other day. We spent the entire day together and we were talking about the fact that I have this degree, and it's unfortunate that it's not in the foundation of nursing. And why I say that, the reason I say that is because the degree is so based on research. And we all know that nursing is years behind research. And so it's unfortunate that this wasn't something that is embedded earlier on. I got my doctorate degree in healthcare system leadership. I am an expert in process improvement, identifying steps to make sure that practices are hardwired. And so I just feel like, gosh, how nice would it have been for me to have that skill set early on? And I did. I just didn't have a title to it, and it wasn't sustainable all the time. Because everyone's not speaking the same language. When you have this type of degree, it's just a different type of learning and language, because I mentor DNP students and we all have that same conversation.
People are going to now weaponize that. You are weaponizing the people, that they now have your testimony and they can use it as a weapon against you.
You know what? I'm glad you asked that, because that is my underlying concern out of all of this. Mm-hmm. However, through prayer, through therapy, and through very, very deep conversations with my family, my husband, and my children, because so many people are going to be affected by it because I didn't hold back. Mm-hmm. And the reason I don't hold back is because the pain, the hurt, the trauma that I experienced, it's still with me. Mm-hmm. The people who did what they did to me or allowed what happened to me, those individuals have gone on with their lives. They probably don't even think twice about me, which is okay. But on a daily basis, on a regular basis, I live with that pain. Mm-hmm. I live with the fear of people judging me. Yeah. But you know what? I have had to let that go because it's not easy. I'm still thinking, oh my goodness, when I launch this book, people who I haven't heard from in years, who have shunned me or distanced themselves from me, they're not going to be too happy that I'm putting the business, because this is my family. Mm-hmm. I'm putting the business out there, but this was me healing. This was me choosing me before everybody else, because all these years, everybody else has come first, but this is me choosing me. Yeah. And I just have to be ready.
That was an epic fail because I failed the NCLEX, and I was devastated. I was devastated because I never failed anything in my entire life. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to tell anybody. When I did tell people, I was like, I'm ashamed. Like, maybe I'm not meant to be a nurse. All of these things are coming in my head. So I avoided it for some time, and then I just started to do other things. And I had my son in the middle of that, and I just went back to school to get my master's in public health, and I just figured maybe I'll just be an administrator. I'll just forget about nursing. I don't want to do all of that. And that wasn't what I wanted to do it, but it was like I felt like it was a missing piece. I don't like to start things and don't finish. So I tried to do it again, and I failed a couple times, about 4 times.
Wow.
And I finally came to the realization when I had got with my ex-husband. He helped me, and I had a routine. I studied, I worked out, I lost weight, and I studied for my test, and I passed it. And that was the most fulfilling feeling ever. But during all of those things, I was going through so much emotional imbalance, not understanding why, having these moods, and now looking back at
inclination that you wanted to become a nurse. What was that journey like? Did you just go straight into a BSN program, or did you we've had some other guests that took like incremental pathway where they started out as a CNA and then just took the steps up? What was your journey towards where you are? Which way did you go with it?
So when I graduated high school and I went to college, my intentions was nothing of the sort. I didn't want to be. I had nothing. Like high school, they had us on these programs. It was like a BOCES program. I wanted to be a lawyer. That was my thing. I was going to be a lawyer. I went to a science technology entry program during high school. So I was like, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a pediatrician. I had wanted to be around kids. That was my passion. I got to college and they said, oh, you got to take this chemistry. You got to take this science. You got to do this. You got to do that. And I said, this is not what I want to do. This is not how I imagined it. So I had a work study job at the time, and I had spoke with a current nursing student, and she was just talking about nursing and how great it was, and maybe I should look into that if I still wanted to be in the medical field. And I said, I never thought about being a nurse. I do like to help people. I've always had that wanting to help and heal, and so I really looked into it. So I had applied. I went to a 4-year school, and I applied for the nursing program. At the time, I had to wait because
I love that.
I started New Year Resilience in 2020 during the pandemic. It was kind of like I was trying to figure out other avenues to work in, hey, my son's at home. I need some more flexibility. And then I also had this light bulb come on that working as a nurse on the bedside was just not going to satisfy me. I was just not completely satisfied. And I just was looking to do more. Wanted to help women that, I said I had PCOS, so many things, weight, diet, exercise was always like constant fluctuation for me. Still a constant fluctuation. I do have a lot more knowledge than I did before. Feel like I'm getting more guidance because of more people are discussing what PCOS is more than they were before when I was first diagnosed. I started a contouring business, but now entering the wellness aspect of it. When I first started it, it was more just strictly body contouring, body sculpting, just doing things that wanted to get surgery. It's like, I'm tired of this, I'm gonna get surgery. But honestly, I was like, what are other alternatives to that? And that's what I really looked into, body sculpting. And so now I'm kind of business more and focusing more on women with hormonal imbalances.
How long you've been a registered nurse, and what's your field of expertise? What areas are you working in or have you worked in?
Okay, I have been an actual registered nurse about almost 9 years. I have been in a few areas of nursing. I worked in psych, I worked in the school, I was a clinical instructor, I did med surg, I've done step down, worked in palliative care, I've done travel. And currently I am teaching. So I am currently doing, I just finished a nursing contract. So I just did a contract. Also a CPR instructor. And I am now currently teaching PCA classes. I'm done CNA, and I've also taught RN students. But currently I'm doing PCA training. Little bit of here, a little bit of there. I'll do my CPR training as well. So I have stuck my hand in a few areas of nursing, as you may say. That's what I'm currently enjoying, is the teaching aspect of nursing. Love education, especially in this field. You are always going to be educating yourself every day. My goal to really just educate our people and just some insight and let people know that there's so many different varieties of nursing that you don't have to stay in one area. So yeah, I literally have to think back of when I was a senior, last semester of nursing school, I was told that I had PCOS. I had no idea what it was. I would be tired, going through the motions, not really understanding, a college student. I wasn't really, the best. I was stressed and all of these things. And school has so many, avenues, So I just had these like bad headaches, headaches. And I just was like, I'm going to the doctor after like the weeks of just coming home and just like, hours. Thought that was normal. Went to the doctor. He did a full assessment. He was like, your thyroid is enlarged. I need you to get a biopsy. So it was like in steps of these things going on. Wow. As my biopsy, he was concerned. He said, really need you to get surgery as soon as possible. I was graduating in a month. Wow. I said, I can't. I said, I just went through all of these things with nursing. I am not going to just finish. So he was like, no, he said it was okay for me to finish, but I had to immediately get surgery at least 30 days after graduation. During the time, I was just kind of knowing what to think. All of these things, thyroid, you just got diagnosed with PCOS. They did not tell me what to do. They told me to literally diet and exercise. And if I wanted to have a kid, I would have to be on fertility medicine. That was exactly what he told me.
Why did you go into so many different areas of nursing? Was it strategic? Was it something that just kind of happened? So give us a side scoop as to why somebody would, and it's the same career, but why you would just switch your pathways so often.
So, life, and had a couple of pitfalls in my nursing career. Just, pandemic, I was working on the floor and had a small child. And so I decided to do I missed one, home care. I've done UA.
Like, wait a minute, I got another field that I've worked into.
I never you kind of just go with the flow. Like, I don't even realize many different areas, but the pandemic, it wasn't conducive for my schedule to continue to stay in the hospital. So I started looking at other opportunities and working for insurance, assessments for care. So it wasn't bad. It was remote at the time because everything was shut down. It was something that worked for me at the time because my son was at home. That's what worked for me. Cool to do the remote, and I'm not opposing that, but that wasn't what I really was passionate about. I feel like as I learning more about myself and learning about the different opportunities in nursing and things that I'm interested in, feel like I needed to find what was for me purpose in this profession.
What more can you share with us about that compassion fatigue? And if someone is experiencing that, how can they remedy it? How can they get the solution to that?
Absolutely. First of all, is recognizing it. And I think far too often, especially as nurses, we don't recognize it because we're so used to helping others, where we feel like we're supposed to. And then number one, we're programmed. And what I mean is we're programmed to go to school, be clinical, continue to work, climb the ladder, make sure that we're for that patient experience, make sure we're reaching those quality measures, make sure that we get that additional certification, get that additional degree. So that's all we know. So we're doing all of these things because that's what we're taught, right? And it's not that it's wrong, right? Because we go to school to be nurses and healthcare professionals, but that's what we're taught. We're taught compassion. Some of us were just compassionate people, right? That's another reason why we go into the profession, because we want to help others. But what happens is when we're helping others and we're not aligning, it starts to really dwindle us. And we start to go, it's almost like a level of resentment that starts to come because we're not taking that time for ourselves, but we're not recognizing it because no one's teaching it to us. Right. So we're not recognizing that we're overextending ourselves. We're yes people, and we're so used to saying yes. Right. So we're so used to saying yes, and we want to make everyone happy. But who's making us happy? You have to be able to say no and to create boundaries. And to be honest with you, I'm a woman of faith. I don't try to put my religion on anyone, but I do say this. There is a higher power. And for me, I trust in God. Amen. And I believe that he puts these visions into you. And I know for me, he put these visions into me for a reason. And a lot of times we don't listen to these visions. Now, something that I used to say, I want to make sure that I want to hear his voice. And I was talking to one of the ministers at church, and she said, to Joyce Myers, she said she has a really good that she wrote that talks about how to hear from God. And I started listening to it, and I said to myself, that's it. What's the inner peace? What gives you inner peace? How you know that's the voice? Because we all have inner intuition that we call it, right? That intuition. What gives you inner peace when you make a decision? It can't be the burnout. If you're going through the burnout can't give you inner peace. But when you think about changing or doing something different, what gives you inner peace? Think about that. Does it make, when you think about going to the cath lab, right? Does that give you inner peace? Right. When you think about going to mother baby, does that give you inner peace? When you think about starting a business, does that give you inner peace?
That compassion fatigue.
I started questioning myself, what am I doing? Right? What am I doing? Am I writing her up for this? Not just the write-ups, wait, why am I using my phone at 2 a.m? Am I just always on? And it really led to a level of burnout. And when you start thinking about feeling detached, right? Feeling that cynicism, no longer having that compassion fatigue, right? No longer having that.
As you hit on it, girl, you hit on it. And we just need a moment to just sit in that compassion fatigue. Woo! I know people can relate, whether they are in the healthcare profession, whether they are nurses, they can relate to that compassion fatigue, because that goes for caregivers, that goes for anyone who's in the service industry. Like, more can you share with us about that compassion fatigue? And if someone is experiencing that, how can they remedy it?
Almost like a level of resentment that starts to come because we're not taking that time for ourselves, but we're not recognizing it because no one's teaching it to us.
Yes.
Right. So we're not recognizing that we're overextending ourselves. We're yes people, and we're so used to saying yes. Right. So we're so used to saying yes, and we want to, who's making us happy? Right. You have to be able to say no and to create boundaries. If you don't, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to yourself for something. And that's when that compassion fatigue starts to come into play, because human, right? So when I say the word resentment, we're human, because you start to feel like, okay, who's pouring into me? We pour into others all the time.
Yes.
And who's pouring into me, right? And we need that self-compassion. So I am Dr. Lendra. I'm a nurse by profession, doctor of nursing practice. I've been a nurse for over 20-something years, all across the country, did all the things, right? Travel nursing, worked my way up to nursing leadership, did my doctor of nursing practice degree, and shifted my purpose to start a wellness business, right? So it was around the time of the pandemic that I said, you know what, this is not it, right? We do all the things. And when I say close programs, we open units, we hire, we sometimes have to fire, right? Create policies, we do all the things, and we're doing this for someone else. We're making someone else's pockets richer. And I started getting to a point where I started feeling like it was more of a patience, right? As opposed to it really being about helping the community. And that wasn't it. And I started finding that I was no longer aligning with the mission and the visions of organizations. So I started my own business. And you know what, and let me back it up. There was definitely some bias in there that led to a level of burnout. And I was burning out because I found that I was doing the same thing. And, you don't feel, when you talk about being undervalued, that isn't just something that occurs with staff nurses. Because I think a lot of times when we think burnout, we think, oh, these nurses are burning out because they're giving them too many patients. Leaders can burn out as well, especially when you're always on, when you're doing everything to make sure that everything, because when you're a leader, you have to look at things from a 30,000 foot view. Right? It's not just my patient assignment. You're looking at everyone.
Right.
You're not always everyone's favorite person because you have to make the tough decisions.
Nurses make a lot of money. Again, that is an idea and a myth.
Come on now, because it's not always true in every case. That's true.
So I know a lot of nurses that's paycheck, looking to book their next shift to make ends meet. So that has always been, to me, myth that people have thought, because let's be clear, nurses really didn't really start to get appreciated in the fact of the sense of making decent salary until the pandemic. When the pandemic happened, that's when they decided that, we need these nurses. Let's give them something to incentivize them to be on the front line, which it still wasn't enough. When, as a practice nurse, I know how much some of these facilities and hospitals recoup, and we still lost a bunch of nurses when they weren't getting the proper compensation that they should have been getting, that these facilities was receiving. I want to debunk that myth.
Come on.
No. And I always encourage people, if you want to get in this profession, don't do it for the money, because you will quickly find out that, oh no, there's plenty of times that plenty of nurses have said, oh, forget this, I'm going to work at Target. Oh, forget this, I'm going to be a bartender. Oh, I can make more money stripping.
Yes. Let's go into this complete dimensions. Tell us a little bit about the work that you do there.
So Dimension Center is a full service mental health practice was established in 2019. The moment I became an advanced practice was the same moment that I established my own independent practice.
Love it.
From there, just kind of blossomed. Complete Dimensions was established in, and it blossomed into a full service mental health practice. I devised the care plan into how I saw that I wanted to individuals with mental health. So it is an integrated practice where I provide holistic care along with traditional as well in the realm of mental health services.
Wow.
So some of my clients come to me and they're strictly on a holistic regimen of treatment for their mental health. And then some of my clients are on a combined treatment where it is where they have some holistic and also some traditional. Then I have some clients that's on just straight traditional mental health services.
I love that. Wow. I need to ask you a question. Please explain to us, if you will, how you got this nickname as Lady Fire. I just know there's a testimony behind that. So share it with us what you got that name from. How did that come about?
It is so funny because everybody always asks that, and it is not a testimony. I absolutely did not like social media. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine created my Facebook page because we would always hang out. She loved to take pictures. And so she wanted to be able to tag me in the pictures. And I'm like, girl, she set up my Facebook page. Mm-hmm. When she set up my Facebook page, she used my real name. I always worked inpatient mental health. Okay. Some of the clients had started to get on some of the nurses' media and was contacting them. And so I got afraid that, oh my God, they're going to start contacting me. Lord, I don't want these people contacting me through social media. So I reached out to my younger sister because I'm like, this girl know how to maneuver technology.
Yes.
And I said, I need you to change my name because I see other people's name changed on social media. And so she was like, okay, do it. And I was like, but I don't know what to do. So I just said, you know what? I'm a lady and I'm a fire sign. That's how it happened. Lady Fire.
So when did you identify it as your ministry?
I believe I would say very early on when I was a CNA, back when I first started being as a CNA, I worked at a public health nursing facility where basically they took the indigent clients or people that didn't have or only had Medicaid benefits. So that facility didn't have a lot of resources and money. So would go and buy our own supplies because we were young, we were teenagers, we was in high school, but we just always felt like, okay, this was my mom or my grandfather. I would want them taken care of in this manner. So back then it wasn't the Dollar Tree, it was the Everything a Dollar store. But we would go there and we would go and buy like conditioner, everything you needed to in personal care items, and we would carry those bags to work, and that's what we would use to take care of our clients. And clients appreciated it. Someone to take that extra step and that extra mile to show that want you to feel and smell, like a human
when you're outside. Yes.
You are worthy of having or being able to a sense of well-being, even though you're in a place that may provide that for you or your financial means doesn't allow you to have those things.
On what we could expect to read from your chapter in the Act Like a Nurse, Think Like a Boss collaborative book project.
Okay. I've been going a little back and forth on what the true title is going to be, but I can tell you some of the things that going to be discussing in this chapter. Actually, I came from the projects, right? I grew up in the projects. And honestly, I thought we was the richest one in the projects. We never wanted for anything. Single mom taking care of 5 kids, and she did a magnificent job.
What city did you grow up in?
Sorry?
What city did you grow up in?
Oh, Florida.
Okay.
Like, well, and she always said, I want you to go, all my kids to go higher than I did. I want you to go as high as you want to go. So with that said, I always had that in the back of my mind, right? Mm-hmm. I was a teenage mom. I'm so blessed that I'm still with my husband today. We've been together 40 years. So I was a teenage mom. I just wanted to let those young girls know, those young ladies know that you can do it no matter what your background is. No matter if you had a kid when you were a teenager, you may be, older, you can do anything that you wanted to do. Just strive. You just have to strive. So I know the couple motivated me that's in the nursing field when I was a CNA. And this one particular assistant director of nursing, I love her. And she's going to be in the book. I'm talking about her in the book as well.
Introduce yourself to us all.
Well, my name is Valerie Forsyth, and I've been a nurse for over 25 years. I recently completed my master's degree for family nurse practice, also received my doctorate of nurse practice. So now I am ready to segue right into that arena.
I love it. And I laugh like when that question or when people tell like how long they've been a nurse. I feel after the 10-year mark, it's like, okay, like nurse for a really, really long time. And you're to myself like with the years. And it has definitely been an amazing journey for myself. So tell us some of the different areas of nursing that you've dabbled in.
Absolutely. I wanted to go through all layers of nursing. So I actually started as a home health nurse.
Oh, okay.
And by the home health aide. And after that, I went to become a CNA. Mm-hmm. So I did that. I went on to health unit coordinator, also phlebotomy. And then I segued into the licensed practical nurse arena.
Okay.
After that, I went in for registered nursing as well. And then the bachelor's of nursing, and then the master's, and now the doctorate. So I went through all levels of nursing, all pathways.
Good. You basically every level. How you support nurses in that burnout, because they're literally burning out a lot sooner than later.
They are, and to be honest, nurses and CNAs, anybody in the healthcare field, we have these different agencies now that they can work for and they can get daily pay. So they call off in their full-time job because the agencies actually call them to pick up. So they'll call off and they'll go to the agency to work and they'll still get their PTO because they called off sick. And I wanted to find out what is going on, why having all of these call-offs, and say they call off for A, B, C, and D. I believe them. That's them. They hold their hands to the fire and do, the proper attendance protocol. I feel you have to do that. So I wanted to know what was going on. I had to peel that banana back and find out what is going on. And the staff, they were telling me, we don't get treated right. They don't appreciate us. And I can work for the agency and get more. So when they find they can do that, I was like, it's whatever economical for their household, right? Because we are in challenging times from a physical, mental, financial standpoint. It's a hardship. Right now, it's a hardship. So I don't talk down on them for doing that. I just have to figure out different mechanisms to get them to want to come to work, right?
And so what is it that you currently do now as a nurse?
Currently, as of October 2024, I decided that I didn't want to be back into that arena as far as director of nursing. I was a director of nursing for skilled nursing facilities for the past 17 years.
Wow.
I recently stopped director of nursing and started doing travel assignments.
Okay.
Not being fine-tuned to facility. I was able to do the travel assignments and do interim director of nursing positions. And that was really, really nice. I was able to go in for maybe 30 days and just go in and see the different clinical systems, see how they are, see what they need. And that was doing that, they were actually getting prepared to hire a director of nursing. So I would be a part of recruiting efforts as well to get a director of nursing in the facility. Sometimes it was 30 days, sometimes a little bit longer. It just depends on where I wanted to go and what did I want to do as far as being the interim director of nursing. Okay. So now that I have that under my belt, I'm actually an independent consultant now. So I'm an independent clinical consultant, and I partner with different corporations and companies regarding going in and them troubleshoot from a regulatory standpoint.
Nice. So you're still in leadership role. You're just doing it now on your own terms. So to speak.
Absolutely.